Hello, beloved listeners, and welcome to Snake People at the Movies, film criticism by people who actually like film. Join us as we dive into movies we love, movies we respect, and movies we wish we could unsee. It's the podcast where we talk about growing up and living queer, nerdy, and depressed, online and at the cinema. From the kids who are extremely susceptible to union propaganda, it's Sneople at the Movies. I'm Ezra.
I'm Matty.
And I'm Helena.
Welcome back.
Yep,
Sneople.
we missed you. Yeah, sorry.
We were just so eager to say welcome back, and we just kind of jumped in front of each other.
We all just said it at the same time. Yeah.
Laurel and
we took a week off and forgot how to podcast.
I fucked the podcast.
I fucked the podcast. So we're back. Did you miss us? We hope so.
You better have.
Yeah.
Oh, they're turning off and taking out their headphones.
Aggressive.
Oh. Well, you know.
Like, fuck our audience. I don't mean that at all.
No. I love you.
We love you.
Not like that. Like not in a creepy way.
Though.
Just like a normal, healthy.
No homo.
Oh boy.
Oh shit! No homos. Everybody, pack it in, boys.
God, fuck. Damn it! I just canceled our own show.
Off to a good start here.
Strong start.
Beginning.
Yeah, you know, this is part one of the equation of things that you listen to this show for, which is relentless goofing. The other half being, you know, like insightful film commentary, which we will get to if you put up with the relentless goofing first.
Yeah, our incredibly powerful cold opens tied in with like some deep shit.
Yeah,
but you really got to get through the cold open first.
Really gotta dig through the cold
funny.
To get to the diamond.
No, we're funny.
No,
okay,
and that's on that.
We're funny.
Obviously, we missed a. No, sorry.
I was just nope. Please keep talking.
No,
sorry. That's a fact. Don't me.
I mean, I'm talking about myself like specifically because I have to maintain my my imposter syndrome at all times, or I'll die. Or the universe will get me in some way for not for having too much of an ego, and there'll be karma upon my head. But
that's right. That's why I have enough ego for the two of us.
Yeah, exactly.
I have to maintain the balance there. Obviously, we missed a week of Sneople. Okay.
Yep.
I keep.
God damn it, we did it again!
I keep cutting off conversations to go to the next thing.
It's like the odd
You're
couple.
Like desperately trying to finish.
No,
the joke.
it's completely fine. Just talk.
We missed a week of Sneople. God damn it. You know, life happens. Stuff gets in the way. We were gonna do a part 2 on Green Night. We were gonna all try and see it again. We weren't able to. Blah blah blah. But Labor Day is coming up. I think you'll be hearing this the week before Labor Day. It'll be the Thursday before Labor Day.
No, it should be next. Oh, yeah, it is, because I can't do calendar stuff.
Yeah, because we were like, do we want to do this before or after Labor Day? And we were like, let's do it before. So we're doing it Thursday, and then Monday is Labor Day. So we're doing a Union movie episode. We're doing Union movies. That's the end of that sentence.
Because Labor Day is what the United States has instead of May Day, which is when the rest of the world celebrates labor organizing. Because here in the United States, we're still paranoid about the specter of communism or whatever. So in honor of Labor Day, a day on which notably basically everyone who labors just has to work and deal with people in shitty customer service jobs because there's a sale going on, as opposed to, you know, like getting a day off or whatever. Yeah, it's labor union movie time. We'll say right off the bat that the movies that we're watching today are all about U.S. labor organizing. That is literally because it's Labor Day and the rest of the world is like slightly less rabidly anti-communist. And therefore celebrates May Day. So, you know, maybe we'll get together to do another episode in May with international labor films, which I think would be pretty cool. But today, it is... Just to get you excited before we go into our What We Sneeps, it's Norma Rae, Matewan, and Bread and Roses.
Now, it should be said before we get into this that we were originally supposed to have a guest on this episode, who was our friend Leo, who is part of the union. What is the union that they're a part of through where they work?
Leo is part of the Teamsters.
Right. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, duh.
Which everyone should remember. You historically and currently do not fuck with the Teamsters Union, which I assume is because they're called the Teamsters because before they were driving, like trucks and automobiles and things like that, they were driving teams of horses. This was like the people who drove fucking like horse-drawn wagons, and having just been to the fair and seen people drive 6 hitches of Clydesdales, I wouldn't want to fuck with somebody who could do that either. It's like 10,000 pounds of horses.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because Leo cannot be here because she has to go do union stuff. Like, she's training a new shop steward, I think.
Yeah. She had a union meeting and then is training a new shop steward. Which
she really wanted to be here, but it's a perfect excuse to not be here. I think very appropriate.
She messaged me and she was like, "Hey, I'm so sorry. I was like really excited to be a part of this episode, and I had to reschedule a bunch of like really important stuff, and it just happened over." And I was like, "Yeah, no problem." And she was like, "Yeah, and I got all this union stuff I have to do." And I was like, "Well, I mean, to be fair, that's arguably the funniest reason you could not be here for our union episode." So, but we are planning on having her on soon for a different secret episode. So keep your eyes peeled for that.
Stay tuned for Leo. And so you guys will just have to put up with me as our resident union member for this episode.
Have her.
Which, speaking of which, I'm gonna go get my
union
card.
I was in one, but...
Yes, Helena, a former member of the Longshoremen's Union, right?
Mm-hmm, y'all were...
Hell yeah.
I was also a member of a union, but this was many, many years ago, and I have since only worked in non-unionized workforces since then, which, let me tell you, don't like it. Not a fan.
No, it's not good.
I think
every day I make a joke about forming a union, and I'm waiting for somebody to be like, "So how much of a joke is that?"
I think there's a decent chance that you guys could join the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers.
That seems likely, yeah.
I knew somebody who worked in a call center for an internet company, and that was the union that she was part of.
I think that
the company was with.
I think that makes the most sense. Probably.
Right. I'm gonna go get my union card and read it off later because the name of my fucking trade union is insanely funny.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody want to start in with what they have sneeped?
Totally. Yeah, I'll start. Not a lot. Watched the first Friday the 13th movie again with a friend of the show and also just us, Leia, because she's been talking about wanting to watch more slashers, and I, who is also trying to watch more slashers, was like, yeah, let's watch Friday the 13th. It was not on Friday the 13th. We were watching it for some other reason. We were like, should we watch Halloween or that? And I was like, it's summer, we should watch Friday the 13th. And we'll watch Halloween closer to Halloween. And then on Friday the 13th, I decided to watch Friday the 13th 2 and 3, which I had never seen. Those were new to me, which were, like, very fun. It's fun watching the, like, slow shift of what Friday the 13th was originally into what it has become and, like, what it is viewed as in the cultural consciousness. By the third one, you're like, oh, yeah, this is, like, where they started turning into, like, Friday the 13th as we think of it. I think the fourth one is called Friday the 13th, the final chapter, even though it is absolutely not the last one. And this is a small little anecdote. I'm buying time, and also I want to tell this little story. Another podcast I really like called Film Reroll, where they play GURPS, and they, like, do movies. They, like, play movies as tabletop games, and they totally change the movies. It's really fun. The first section I ever listened to was their Friday the 13th episode. That was the final chapter. But the GM and the guy who helps them build these stories made up this like, teen rom-com called Summer Spell, and, like, made a fake trailer and everything. like a fake IMDb page, I think, maybe. And so the people playing the game did not realize they were playing a Friday the 13th movie. They thought they were playing some teen movie, and he had this whole, like,
amazing.
This romance system that they were trying to play. Meanwhile, you as the listener are just sitting there like, oh my fucking god, they are literally in a Friday the 13th movie. Which meant the reveal of Jason showing up was, like, the hypest shit I've ever seen. Or heard, I guess, because I heard it with my ears. And so I'm excited to finally see the movie and kind of compare it to that series of episodes. Once you're done listening to us, go listen to the film reroll if you like tabletop.
So
They're
good.
so good. I listened to their Halloween. They did Halloween 1 and then a 2 that is not on Halloween 2. It's like the sequel to their movie, like every Halloween. So I watched those 3. And then I watched the 3 movies we're talking about today. I have not been watching a lot of movies. I've been, like, kind of feeling bad about it because I'm like, I miss movies. But I'm sad. So I'm playing a lot of Ace Attorney and Final Fantasy XIV to cope.
Mood.
My Catboy's level 74, if anyone cared. That's what I've seen.
Oh, yeah. I guess I'll go next because, as always, we gotta make room for Helena. I actually watch movies, Fisher Welsh. So I don't think I've seen any films that were not the films on this list. I will note that when I rented the DVDs of these from the Film is Truth, which shout out to Bellingham's last remaining video rental. I love you. I rented Norma Rae, Matewan, Blood and Roses, and then Kong Skull Island and the Man with the Golden Gun. Which is officially the weirdest combo of things that I've ever rented from there. Because I am gonna watch a mediocre vintage James Bond movie because Christopher Lee is really hot in it. Because, well, you know, sometimes you just gotta make choices like an adult. And I never saw Kong Skull Island. So yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna do this weekend. But
oh, yeah.
I have been watching more Supernatural, which means that I got to the start of season 4 of Supernatural, and it is time for me to document my descent into Dean Cass hell on Twitter. Oh,
so
Mandy
happy.
Patinkin, we're really in it now. Yeah, Helena's gloating.
I'm just so happy to have somebody in this fight with me. Not fight even, just like madness.
I knew it was gonna happen. Like, this fucking ship has been a bullet with my name on it for 12 years, and I have been evading it for 12 years. And it's fucking come to fucking make me pay the piper. So that's cool. Oh, and also, in my much delayed, hashtag Summer of Silm read, I finally finished Children of Hurin, which, had a lot more accidental incest in it than I thought it was going to, which apparently is just, like, a thing in the, like, a big facet of the fucking Kalevala, so I don't know what the medieval Finns were up to, but alright then. And I have the ebook of the Silmarillion taunting me on my phone. Why did I decide to do this?
Because you're a champ. You're gonna do it. You're gonna get through it.
Yeah, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna get through it, and then I'm gonna fucking climb this whole hill, and I'm gonna look down and say, why the fuck did I do that? So yeah.
Let's see. Okay.
What have you consumed, Helena?
Well, let's see. Let's go chronologically. I watched Manhunter, which is a Michael Mann movie from '86, which is actually a Hannibal Lecter movie. William Peterson plays Will Graham, actually. So okay. Hannibal fans, we're really in it now. It's really a really good movie. I really, really enjoyed it. Brian Cox plays Hannibal Lecter. It's great. It's beautifully filmed. The score is so 80s, and I love it. I rewatched Maurice as part of my Hugh Grant Rotten Tomatoes challenge, moving along swiftly. That was such a hardship to rewatch Maurice. Oof. for the 5th time, right? Such a hard thing to do. I rewatched Attack the Block, which was great. I haven't watched it really long time.
Attack the Block the other day. I was like, God, I need to watch it again so bad. It's so good.
Producer Ben just watched it for the first time recently as well. I think Attack the Block fever is in the air. Also, they're making Attack the Block 2. So let's prepare ourselves.
Go.
I saw Fear Street 1994, which is the first of the Fear Street movies that are now on Netflix.
How was it?
I'm going to finish watching the trilogy, just because I'm interested to see what they do with it. And also because like the second movie is supposed to be like a Friday the 13th like camp slasher, and I'm interested in that.
Love that. Mm-hmm.
I'm not crazy about the movies themselves. I think they're a little bit too. I was talking to Leia about it while I was watching it, and I was like, they're a little bit too Riverdale for me, if that makes sense. Like, it feels like they're appealing to an audience that is very much not myself, and I appreciate that it's actually gory at parts. I did want a little bit more of that, and not so much like, I don't know, some of the other stuff. It's like, but it's interesting. I'm going to keep watching it and see what they do with it. I watched Black Narcissus, which is about nuns. It's a movie from the 40s about the nuns, it's the famous movie about the nuns, one of those many famous movies about the nuns that you've heard of. And they're all going, not all of them, they're all just kind of going nuts up in the hills because there's only one guy who comes to visit them, and he's always wearing short shorts, and it's driving them crazy. That's the plot of Black Narcissus, in case you didn't know.
My new transition goal is to drive nuns crazy by occasionally showing up and wearing short shorts.
It's the only way to do it. I did really like it. It's a Powell and Pressburger movie, which means it was like gorgeous to look at. Filmed entirely in Pinewood Studios. Did not actually film it in India, but they used matte paintings for it, and it looks fucking incredible. Because it is about, a bunch of nuns who are in India. There is some stuff with like the colonialism part of it and like one of the actresses who is in brownface in the movie that I'm like not wild about that, but there is some really interesting stuff visually going on in the movie. I think it's worth a watch. So Leia, friend of the show, Leia, and just like real life friend Leia has been reading, or just recently finished reading It by Stephen King, which I read a couple years ago. So we've been kind of on an It binge, fortunately, which mostly consists of Leia reading It fic and then deciding if it's good and then sending it to me, and then I read it and then we go, oh, that was so good. And so now I have like 9 tabs open on my phone of fan fiction for It. That's just my life now. So we rewatched the 2017 and 2019 movies respectively, It and It Chapter 2. Felt the same way about those that I did when I saw them, which is that the first one is like pretty good and the second one is not very good, but I have a crush on Bill Hader, so it doesn't matter. I watched The Celluloid Closet, which was great. I watched Barb and Star Go to Vista Del Mar, which has one of the best titles in movie history. That is a new comedy that is out that it has some of the coolest and chillest vibes of any movie so far released this year. I rewatched 2003 Peter Pan. I will be watching it again at some point in the future so that Ezra can join me in losing our minds.
That I couldn't join Helena in just being relentlessly horny for Jason Isaacs in that movie.
My God. I was like, my brain was getting just like too big for its britches watching that movie, which happens every time. It was just like, it's so funny because the first time I saw that I was like, haha, Peter Pan, I love this, I love pirates. And then now when I watch it, I'm like, the themes and implications are just like gender and puberty and like sex and all of this stuff. Like, I'm just losing my goddamn mind over this children's movie because there's so much in this story that is driving me insane. I love it. I think it's the best Peter Pan adaptation film Peter Pan adaptation that I've seen still. So it's always a joy to revisit that. I watched Marlena the Murderer in 4 acts, which is a movie from a couple of years ago. An Indonesian film, and I think there is some, I would say, look up your trigger warnings for that for some people, but I feel like it's really, really worth a watch. It's really, really interesting revenge movie that's filmed almost kind of like a Western. It is a Western in some ways, I guess. But really, like, interesting and exciting stuff being done in that movie. I really enjoyed it. Norma Rae, of course, I watched, and Matewan for this episode. And then on Wednesday, I half listened, half watched the Globe production from 2012 of Henry IV with Roger Allam and Jamie Parker, because I needed to just chill and relax and listen to something that could just like ease my mind, and that's what I need to listen to when I need to do that. So yeah. And I'm still reading Count of Monte Cristo, and I'm still reading a Mike Nichols biography. And that's what I'm reading at the moment. So I got some stuff to do.
I'm about to start my Dracula reread for the year, and also diving into Dracula adaptations. Because last year I was like, all right, I guess I'm gonna watch all of them, and now it's like quickly approaching this year, and I'm like, oh boy, I'm gonna watch some more, aren't I?
So my question for you, Maddie, is: have you seen the TV movie version from 2008? I want to say, with Dan Stevens. Have you seen that one yet? Okay. It's not good. It's why I ask. And I don't know why I've seen it, but I have. Why did I watch it? Is Tom Burke in it?
Helena, none of them are good.
That's true.
like some of them. No, that's not true. There are a couple of the older ones that I actually liked and I thought were good movies. There's no good adaptation of Dracula, the book. But there are some good movies in there, and I feel like that's the distinction.
Yeah. So the actors, this movie, it's from 2006. Okay. Rafe Spall plays Jonathan Harker in it. Tom Burke is Seward. Dan Stevens is Holmwood. David Suchet is Van Helsing. So initially,
this is nuts.
You're like, this is good casting.
Okay, fine. Nuts. Cool.
But, like, it's not good. It's, like, objectively, like, the ugliest thing I've ever seen in my life. The top review on Letterboxd here is, if I die after contracting syphilis from Dan Stevens' character, that's on me. half star.
Good for them.
So, it's not good. Not only is it not just a good movie by itself, it's just not a good adaptation, and there are some wild choices they make with the story. So I'm very excited
excited to watch it. Excited to fucking suffer again. You remember? Do you remember like everything about Bram Stoker's Dracula? Just remember that whole business. That was wild.
Yeah,
just that whole.
I remember parts of it.
Situation.
Yeah. I thought you were talking about the book that he wrote, not the movie that he produced.
No, the movie he produced and was directly involved in is what I was referring to.
Yes.
I was thinking about it because you were like, yeah, that's cool casting, right? And I was like, yeah, I was thinking about Bram Stoker's Dracula, the movie he directly produced and was involved in. There was some, like, I feel like that cast could have been good. And then, like, just stuff happened.
Happens. The casting of the suitors especially was very delicious.
Yeah.
Richard E. Grant as Dr. Seward inspired. Carrie Elwes as Holmwood. Especially when you're making this movie in 1992, I feel like that's very inspired casting.
It was so 90s. Keanu Reeves is there.
Keanu Reeves, well, that's debatable.
I mean, he's there. I just said he's there. That's all I added. He's just very, very 90s. That's where we're going.
Is he there?
Well, emotionally, maybe not. Physically, maybe yes.
Yes, he is physically there. This is not a Dracula episode. I cannot get...
No, I just wanted to mention, I'm sorry, I wanted to warn our listeners coming up that there's going to be a lot of slashers, which, great, love it, yes, sexy, and a lot of Dracula, bad, in my upcoming list. So, get prepared for that. Oh, also Over the Garden Wall. Excited for Over the Garden Wall season.
Yes, Over the Garden Wall.
I'm also very excited for Over the Garden Wall season, and I probably shouldn't do this because I should just read the damn Silmarillion, but part of me is like, hey, maybe this is the year that I finally read Dracula, because Maddie's reading it.
We could read Dracula!
Yeah, we could. I think that's so. We'll see. Book club! So,
it's not a super long book compared to
it's really not that long of a book. I mean, yeah, the Silmarillion is going to take me, like, I don't even want to contemplate how long it's going to take me. A long time.
Godspeed.
You know what also takes a long time sometimes is winning your right to fucking organize your workplace.
Mm-hmm.
Nice segue.
I love my terrible segues. Yeah. So let's talk about portrayals of the fight to organize various kinds of workplaces in what I am going to go on this podcast and call the plague-ridden shithole of failing empire that is the United States of America.
I mean, we all know it.
Yep.
If you don't know at this point, ooh, sorry.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
You haven't been listening to us long, have you?
You have not been listening to us, and I guess you've been following the wrong people on Twitter. So, yeah. So we, the production order of these movies is Norma Rae came out in 1979 and was very very well, that was critically acclaimed, that was a whole, like, probably the highest profile. It won an Oscar. Mm-hmm. It was the highest profile of all of these movies. Matewan came out in and is contemporary. 80s? Like, Norma Rae is set in the time that it was made. Matewan is 1980.
1987.
87.
Yeah. But it is about the lead up to the Matewan massacre, which was in, I want to say, 1919 or 1920.
It was shortly after the Great War.
Yeah, it's shortly after the end of the First World War, because the actual historical event that it is loosely based on is thought of as having kicked off what people call the West Virginia Coal Mine Wars, mm-hmm. which ended in the 1921, as of I think 3 days ago was the 100th year anniversary of the Battle of Blair Mountain, which it's important to note that Pearl Harbor was not the first airstrike on U.S. soil. That would be the Battle of Blair Mountain, when the federal government dropped bombs on striking miners in West Virginia. Do you ever just, mm-hmm. drop bombs on your own citizens because they're trying to earn the right to not fucking all die in coal mines? Yeah. Plague-ridden shithole of failing empire.
I was gonna say, you do here. Yeah, wow, that's a very good timing then for us to also do this episode on so close to that.
Yeah, I specifically, I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like, I am watching it. That's today, and I'm watching Matewan. And Bread and Roses came out in 2000 and was made, so is about the late 90s.
Takes place in 99.
Yeah, 1999 efforts to unionize janitorial workers in Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm.
So, all of these movies have interesting things to say about the costs of standing up to your boss, and how hard that is, and how much you can get for doing it, but also how much you can lose, and about gender politics and race politics,
mm-hmm.
And how racism has no place in your union.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't,
and also about the evolving.
Mm-hmm.
I watched them in internal chronological order. So I watched Matewan, Norma Rae, and then Bread and Roses. So it was interesting because I got to watch an evolving timeline of
Oh, that's cool.
How union action changed and how, like, organization changed, and, like, how, like, work condition changed, and therefore, like, the necessity of how unions operated changed. It was really interesting. I will say we kind of briefly described, we briefly described Matewan, which is, you know, about the Matewan massacre. But I feel like we should probably briefly describe also Norma Rae and, like, the plot of those two. So even if you haven't seen them, you kind of get a rough picture of what they're about. Norma Rae is about, I don't know where this movie is supposed to take place, actually. It's the South, but I'm not sure what part of the South.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm gonna look up and see.
I think it was filmed in Alabama,
like,
so
what
it
the
might
name
be
of the town is.
Alabama.
Yeah.
Yeah. While you do that,
probably Alabama.
I think so.
But I really don't know.
I don't know either. And it is a textile mill in this very small town. And basically this gal whose family has worked there forever, Norma Rae, the titular
North
character.
Carolina.
North Carolina. Okay, great. I remember at the end of the credits, they were like, "Thank you to the Alabama Film Association" or something. So that was my assumption, but whatever. Yeah, so it's about the textile mill trying to unionize this textile mill, and it's about this woman working with the union organizer who comes from New York, and trying to, you know, unionize, that kind of deal. I'm trying to think if there's any other, like, specific points I want to touch on. It's interesting because it's also very much about her.
Sorry, go ahead.
And, like, her life and her influence on these people, which I thought was very interesting. That it wasn't just, like, because the other two, I think, are a little bit more focused on, like, it's less about the people's individual stories and a little bit more... Though less, I guess, Bread and Rose is also kind of about her. But, like, do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yes, Matewan is a little bit more of a parable. Kind of a story where it's, you know, the characters in it are supposed to be representative of sort of the forces on the ground in that particular historical moment. Obviously, like, they are individual people, but it's very much it is. I really think it is very much sort of a leftist kind of parable film.
Yeah. It's not about their character, like, arcs.
Realism.
It's about the union. It's about them trying to, like, take their lives back, especially because this is in a time where company towns are very much a thing, and Matewan is very much a company town.
Which is so, like, I learned about company towns when I was learning a little bit about this in high school, very, very briefly. I just forgot how like, absolutely messed up those things were. Yeah. The whole situation where they bring it, because so part of what happens in Matewan is that they bring in some black workers as essentially they're scabs, but they didn't realize that they were, like, taking work from the striking coal miners, and this guy is explaining the situation to these group of miners that, like, you know, you don't get paid in cash, you get paid in scrip for the company store, and then you only use that to buy whatever you need. You can get at the company store. You can't, like, you can't buy anything outside of that. And, like, what if you try and, like, buy it somewhere else? Like, you could be fired, and it's like, so you can't. You're stuck. You're absolutely just stuck there.
We're gonna rent these tools to you that you have to use to do your job, and they're rented to you generously by the company, and that's gonna come out of your first paycheck.
You don't own anything. The house that is owned by the film is kind of retrospectively, we don't really know for sure until the end, narrated by this young boy who's practicing to be a preacher, and his mother does not own, but she runs this house.
Like a boarding house.
A boarding house that Chris Cooper's character, who is the union organizer who comes from out of town, stays at. And then these company men come by, and they stay in the house, and she can't turn them away because she doesn't own the house.
Yeah.
They're just like, the company owns this house, and we're staying here.
And we're going to stay here. Yeah, they're. I think they're Pinkertons, is what they're. I mean, they're not
no,
literally from
it's a
the
similar,
Pinkertons, but
yeah,
it's a similar concept.
It's the Baldwin Phelps Detective Agency, but
Yeah.
it's the same thing where they are effectively
Hired muscle.
Yeah, just guns for hire.
Yeah.
So you've got.
That. And the conditions are like, the working conditions are like, yeah, we go down there and like the gal who runs the woman, who runs the boarding house, her husband died in like a coal fire, and like there was an explosion. They all like mass amounts of men just die down there.
Yeah.
And those are the working conditions. Beyond the like everything in this town is owned by the company, like and you can't do anything about that. Also, the working conditions are like, if you don't get black lung, you might just fucking explode someday.
Yeah, there's absolutely, there's no reason for the company to put in the most basic safety measures, like wetting down the walls of the mine so that you don't get a bunch of coal dust hanging in the air, which can, ignite and kill everyone. Because it doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. There's no legal protections for.
Yeah, we'll just get more guys. They're just equipment.
Yeah, well, there's always
literally they're just equipment. Like we'll just hire more people.
Yeah,
basically, it doesn't matter if they all die. It's cheaper to just get more bodies.
Yep,
which is so fucked up.
It's really fucked up.
And then Norma Rae, the working conditions are more like obviously they're like in a textile mill, they're dangerous, those machines. They don't show it in the movie, but like those machines go real fast. People fucking
I was getting nervous watching them. I was like, boy, I could
her
never.
Her dad was absolutely missing a finger.
Oh my god. Yeah.
It's
and like that
and
part of
this
thing that does happen in the movie is that he sorry, go ahead.
Oh, they do also mention you can get a form of a similar lung disease actually to what people get working in coal mines.
It's called brown lung from textile mills, because it's
the same thing of where you work somewhere that has a lot of particulates in the air, and if there's not a good like air filtration system. I remember this movie started and it was really, really, really similar to the opening of the BBC miniseries of North and South. Which if you guys
thinking about North and South while I was watching Norma Rae,
yes,
like, the whole
because
time.
it's that's the the thing of like, which is like in the like early to mid 1800s, and it's all of this cotton in the air in a textile mill, and then it's 1979 and it's still people getting lung diseases from cotton in the air in a textile factory.
There's a scene
so
the scene where her dad, it's just kind of a spoiler, but
there's gonna be spoilers. I think that's just kind of what it is.
Yeah, her dad starts to lose feeling in his arm, and you're like, absolutely, you're just like, oh, he's going to have a stroke. And then the manager is like, your break's coming up soon, just take your break in 15 and whatever, and then he just collapses.
He just dies.
Okay.
Yep.
It's I have. So on my mother's side, my dad's my grandfather, who is from England, I was interviewing him recently for reasons, and he was talking about his family, and he definitely, like, my grandfather's side of the family, very much lower class for most of their lives, if not for many, many, many generations. And he was talking about, like, the politics. I was asking about the politics of, like, his family, his mother and his father, and he was like, traditionally their family voted very conservative, voted Tory. But then he had his uncle Sidney, who was a coal miner, who was a socialist, and his mother, like, absolutely hated him. And I like, quietly to myself while I was interviewing him, I was just like, I really wish that I could have, like, if there's anybody in my family right now who's, like, long since passed, I really wish I could talk to my Uncle Sidney. Because I feel like I've heard so many stories about, like, the most the strongest fights for shouldn't say the strongest, like the most militant fights, especially in like early American history of unionizing, have come from coal miners.
Yeah.
And just because the conditions are just so
horrendous.
Yeah.
Like beyond imagining
to me, yeah.
In the 21st century. In I guess our specific lives of the 21st. I don't want to be like, oh, this wouldn't happen anymore, because like clearly this shit does happen.
Yeah.
Just not here as much, which is a whole other kettle of fish.
It's true.
Yeah, I obviously we covered just movies that take place in the U.S., but I was thinking also about Billy Elliot, which like the main point, one of the main points of Billy Elliot, I guess, is the union stuff. I was gonna say the main point of Billy Elliot's not the union stuff, and I was like, it's not one of the main points.
Yeah.
And
the coal mining, very, very big part of Billy Elliot, very big part of Pride as well, which we didn't watch for this episode, but is also very good.
I think we should, at some point, we should put on the back burner, we could do an episode about the 83-84 miners' strike in film.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Totally.
Because that's a subject about which there are many, many British indie films, many of which I love a lot, and I would love to do that. But, and then so we just sort of to kind of get the plot stuff out of the way. Bread and Roses is about a young woman who is at the beginning of the movie like immigrates to the U.S. As an undocumented immigrant, and like goes to live with her older sister who cleans office buildings. And for a company which employs a lot of undocumented immigrants, because they know that they can hold their immigration status over them, which is a huge problem still, obviously, and a huge barrier to people wanting to engage in union activity, because your boss can just be like, well, yeah, it's illegal for me to try to stop you from unionizing, but I guess it's not illegal for me to fucking threaten to deport you.
Yeah.
Or, call la migra, which, chinga la migra. Fuck the cops. Yeah, anyway. So, and this one I think is probably the least romantic of the three. The labor organizer character, who we are 2 for 3 on extremely Jewish labor organizers in these films. This dude's name is Sam Shapiro. I am like 97% sure there's a guy on the board of my synagogue called Sam Shapiro. He's like, my name is Sam Shapiro, and I'm like, yeah, man, you and everybody else, jeez.
So we have an explicitly Jewish character, a like heavily implied Jewish character, and a guy who's straight up a communist.
And
a draft dodger, which love that for him.
Yeah, very hot.
And this one deals a lot more with the costs, with what's at risk, and also I think in an interesting way gets to the heart of even a little more than Norma Rae does, that there is a racialized and a gendered element to what people have to lose in trying to fight for their union rights, and that women, especially women who like are responsible for their children like without a spouse, that's just such a hard, like, the risks that people feel like they can take are so much less when you have kids that you are responsible for. Yeah. And so, yeah, I think that's, which, I was sort of, I don't know what, I had no idea what I expected going into Norma Rae. Like, I knew it was really famous, but I had no clue how, like, dated or not it was going to feel. And that movie, I will say, is, like, so much more just, like, frank and non-judgmental about sex than, like, any fucking movie I have seen that's made in the last 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I just was like, all right, yeah, wow. You watch movies from the 70s and people just, like, talk frankly about fucking.
Yeah.
Like, it's a perfectly normal thing that people do.
Yeah. Even in this, like, very small town, it was interesting. I loved, there's one point where she, I forget why she gets arrested, but she gets arrested, for union shit, you know. She gets, because of that she, like, goes to the factory and she, like, copies down this post they put up that's, like, the black people are gonna take over your union to try and, like, split the union up, and she writes it down, and they're like, alright, well, fuck you. And she gets the whole factory to turn off their machines, and it's incredible, and I nearly started crying. And she goes to jail about it, and she comes home, and she, like, wakes up her kids and her step kid, and she, like, brings them onto the living room, and she's like, look, like, there are gonna be rumors about this, and you're gonna hear it from me first. I don't know, like, I was married to your dad, he died. I didn't ever marry your dad, and, like, you're my stepkid, and, like, here's pictures of your dads, like, and it was very no nonsense, and, like, no one gave her shit about that. It was like, these are the facts, and you're gonna hear this from other people, but, like, that's not something to be embarrassed about, because I'm not embarrassed about it, and you shouldn't be either. And that was very refreshing to see, and also it was really refreshing that the thing with her husband didn't end up being, like, he sucked. Like, he was just like, you know what? No, I love you. This stuff that you're doing is hard, and it's important to you, and I am here for you through it all, because that was my marriage vows. And then she was the big spoon, and I was like, fuck yeah.
I appreciated how they kind of left the potential love triangle aspect of it kind of just, like, not unresolved, but kind of, like, just a thing that is there in the movie, because so she marries Beau Bridges, who has the eyebrows and works at the factory. Bad hair. Jeff Bridges' brother, pour one out, and then she kind of has this, like, a really close friendship with the union organizer who from New York, and who was distractingly hot the entire time.
Oh my god, he was so
very
distractingly hot, and just the most Jewish man ever born, which made me so happy.
He's played by Roy Liebman, who has since passed, but he was married to Jessica Walter and played the original Roy Cohn in Angels in America. I guess some of you who are listening, I don't know this, I never watched Friends. I guess he played Rachel's dad on Friends.
I've never seen Friends.
There's a thing that
it's been a really long time since I saw Friends, so I wouldn't know.
But you know,
might be a reference point for some.
King shit start to finish is what we're saying here.
And he's incredibly hot. And
yeah, he's incredibly hot.
Yeah, there's kind of, like, a thing that, like, I think right around the time when she becomes the big spoon, as we were just mentioning, or at some point in the movie, he's like, she's, you know, there's nothing going on between us. He asks her, Beau Bridges asks her point blank, like, did you sleep with him? She's like, I haven't slept with him. But I do think about him, you know, a lot.
Yeah, he's in my head.
He's in my head, and he says, you know, like, you're the only one who's in my head, or something like that. And you're like, oh, okay. Like, props.
I was kind of worried that was going to end up being a, like, oh, the husband sucks, he doesn't get the union stuff, or whatever, and I appreciate, because at first he kind of is like, you're not home, like, I don't know what's going on, and then he, like, comes around, and he's like, you know what, man, no, like, I'm here, and that's the end of that, which was, like, such a fucking relief to have a supportive spouse in a movie. Yeah. Jesus Christ. It's like every time I watch Jaws, and I'm like, oh my god, they're in love, thank Christ.
Yeah. Just, it's good. I think the interesting thing that I thought Norma Rae commented on in the most, like, fruitful and interesting way for me was the way that the things that you are trying to get people to do as part of a union are natural human social impulses. It's just that you have to fight an uphill battle because you're fighting against so many generations of anti-leftist propaganda, especially in the United States, where it's about mutual aid and also it's like about mutual aid and collective action. And their whole thing is like, she meets Beau Bridges' character, like, and in, you know, there's like one scene where he drives up to like pick her up and go to the lake, and she's bringing the kids and doesn't tell him. And he just rolls with it. And then he's like, we should get married. I have kids, you have kids. If we get together, the both of us can take care of the 3 kids. You know, he and his whole thing isn't, I love you, or I'm gonna do all these great things for you. It's like, I'm gonna hand over my paycheck every Friday, the whole thing, so that all of the money goes to our family rather than me drinking or whatever.
Yeah, I'm gonna come home on Friday and I'm gonna be there all weekend.
Yeah. I'm gonna just like I'm gonna be reliable, and this is the important thing here is that this is going to make both of our lives materially better and more secure. I like you, but it's not about romance very much. Which is like, you know, when you get down to it, the work of it could be, but that's not what he's offering.
Yeah.
The thing that they are agreeing on is working together.
Yeah. And
it's
she is like
human impulse.
Sorry,
go ahead. Yeah. No, that was the end of the sentence.
Yeah. And she is like, you know, she does say like, please kiss me, and if that works, then everything else will work. And clearly it works. But like, it's interesting watching him kind of as a side character specifically, because he does start off as like, why aren't you cooking or doing the housework or whatever? And she's like, genuinely, fuck you and fuck off. And it doesn't come up again. And you get to later parts of the movie and he's like, hey, like, he's like doing the ironing, and he's like, hey, I put the kids to bed. Are you okay? Like he picks up his half of the slack. Which was like really refreshing to see, even if he's not, because he no longer works for the factory. He like works at the gas station later or something. He's not part of the union stuff, but he's still like picking up slack so she can do that part of the fight.
Yeah,
which was cool.
Which is really cool, because it's a flip of the sort of more traditional period movie gender roles thing of Matewan, which does also go out of its way to show you that there is a different kind of work being done by, you know, primarily women, but also like people who are older, or but you know, that the people who are working in the mine are doing one kind of work, but it's very clear that the other things that are going on here are also work. And then the other thing is like, there's in Norma Rae, like, basically to try to get her to shut up about just, like, you know, the boss is, like, following the rules, like, making sure everybody's break is the length that it's supposed to be and things like that. They offer her a pay bump to be a spot checker, which is somebody who, like, basically goes around and assesses the efficiency of her coworkers, and they all just stop talking to her. And there's no scene where they plan this or something. They just all collectively decide that she is persona non grata and just, like, refuse to speak to her en masse until she goes to the bosses and says, look, I was greedy and I was stupid and I don't want to do this anymore. You know, I don't want to be a stooge for management. And it's like, the impulse is there. You just have to figure out how to get people to use it consciously in favor of, like, their economic interest rather than just reactively to feeling personally hurt. Just think is a really smart thought about, like, it's not, you know, arguments about why people in certain demographics or certain kinds of jobs aren't unionized is like, it has nothing to do with, like, inability to understand, like, theory or something. Because people, you know, you're like, you say, you know, you ask a couple of leading questions and it becomes very obvious very quickly, like, where the levers of power are. Which is something that you see in Norma Rae and Matewan, and everything is a lot more muddy in Bread and Roses, which is, I think, accurate to, life in the 21st century.
Yeah. I very much appreciated that. I was just thinking about, in a similar situation in Bread and Roses, there's a reveal at the end of the movie. A bunch of people get fired, and they're trying to figure out, okay, well, who ratted, basically, to management, and they find out it's Maya is the main character, and her older sister is Rosa. They find out that Rosa is the one who ratted to management, and Maya goes home, and she's like, you're a traitor. And Maya has this whole monologue about, like, all the things she's had to do, including, like, non-consensual sex work, to, like, feed her family, and also, like, take care of Maya and their mom when they were in Mexico, and, like, all this stuff. And it's one of those things where it's like, you shouldn't have done it. Like, Maya's like, you shouldn't have done that, and she's like, who the fuck else was gonna do it? Who, like, what else was I supposed to do? Because in exchange, she, like, is gonna get a pay bump and become a supervisor. And you have this one of, like, yes, I, like, understand why. And it's easy to, and she does also say Rosa earlier in the movie says, like, to Adrian Brody, who's playing the union organizer, like, you're a white guy with a college education, like, you don't understand what we're doing. You've never had a cleaner's job. Like, my life is something you don't understand. And I appreciate that they were like, yeah, especially, like, right now, that is very applicable. Like, their lives and what they have to go through, the risk is so much higher for them than it is for him. The worst thing that he ever gets threatened with, really, is you're gonna have to go try and do some different union work. Whereas, like, in this movie, a bunch of people lose their jobs, and Maya gets deported, and, like...
That's a big theme, like, in Matewan and Norma Rae, too. Well, mostly in Matewan as well, like, the whole thing with Joe... was it Kinahan or Canahan?
Yeah, Canahan.
Yeah, Canahan. Is that, like, we're going to really suffer for this, and we could be killed. And they do. Yeah. Several people are murdered.
Yeah.
In this movie.
People do extremely get murdered in Matewan over
including him, actually.
Activities. And then he, of course, at the end also dies.
Yeah, and it's like, they keep telling him, like, you can leave after this is all over, and we can't. We have to live with the consequences of this, and these are our children and our wives and, like, our livelihoods. Yeah. Which is it is kind of this, I don't know if I would call it nice.
What?
Well, I just like the ending of the fact that, like, they buried him with their dead as well in their cemetery. It's like he is there with them.
He's not actually ever going to leave that town. I think is something that the narrator says is like, he ended up staying. Yeah. And the police officer who was trying to defend the town and started the shootout, like, gets murked by a bunch of company guys.
Sid Hatfield was a real guy.
I think that's the incident that started the Battle of Blair Mountain, or one of the inciting incidents of the Battle of Blair Mountain.
Yeah, it was there had been violent clashes on and off for a number of years leading up to it, but the murder of Sid Hatfield by Baldwin Phelps detectives, agency people, it just broad daylight coming out of the courthouse in Charleston, just shot the man dead on the steps of the courthouse. And because he was a hero in West Virginia because in every county, the sheriffs were universally working for the coal companies. And he was like, he just couldn't be bought. And like, he really, like, I mean, obviously, like, we don't really know I don't know what he was fucking personally like, but like, he just didn't. He refused to go along with it, and they killed him. Over it, which was pretty crazy. I think an interesting thing that really struck me watching these movies was that, like, Matewan and Norma Rae both have a really strong sense of place.
Mm-hmm.
An era. Both of them are from an era where, I mean, and I guess this is still true for some people, but like, you just Most people don't leave, like, where they were born, or they can't.
And I think part of that, too, that really comes into play with, like, the union organizer ends up, like, has to integrate with the community to get a foothold, and needs someone to help him do that, for the most part.
Yes.
Or multiple someones needs to get a foothold. Because Bread and Roses takes place in LA, like, LA in the 90s, talk about, like, big fucking city with, like, kind of an ambiguous identity. You know, the like, building a community part is kind of less important, than just, because there isn't a community identity that he has to try and integrate himself with, beyond, like, janitor. Which is a different, interesting point, that, like, their community is, they are all janitors working in this together. And he keeps being like, go talk to the unionized janitors, go talk to them and they will tell you. That is kind of his credential that he is flying around to try and get them to listen.
Yeah,
I've helped these other people unionized, and you're, like, the only building left.
Yeah, everything's really atomized. You know, and you do have an element where there's, you know, many of the people who work at this particular building are Latino and, you know, from various parts of, like, Mexico and Central America. And there is clearly, like, a shared cultural thing there that people are, you know, speaking Spanish to each other and having, like, you know, certain kinds of music at parties and things like that. But it's not... Yeah, it's not like you're not having meetings at a church, because it's not like everybody goes to the same church. I mean, one of the big things in Norma Rae is that they're like, you know, it's North Carolina in the 70s. There's a black church and a white church. And
she goes to
she goes to her white pastor and is like, you know, I've been going here for my whole life. You know, and we're holding union meetings at the, you know, at the black church, but, like, we want to have them here. And if you don't, you know, I'm not going to be part of this congregation anymore. And he's like, nope. And you just never see them again. It's very clear that, like, but you see them go back to the black church. It's very clear that, like, that's going to be kind of the center of organizing there. And, like, Matewan, there's a church, or there's one restaurant in town. Mm-hmm. And, like, you know, spoilers, the guy who owns the restaurant turns out to be a fucking spy for the coal companies, which, like, I mean...
Which I should have known when
you shouldn't have known, man, never trust the petty bourgeoisie.
Like, oh, he's playing a good guy? this actor is playing a good guy in this movie? And I was like, oh, no, he's not. The prison warden from Shawshank Redemption is playing a good... No, he's not.
No, he's not.
Also, you can tell that he's a fucking bad guy because he is the only one of them who continues to call James Earl Jones' character a grown-ass man's son. Because he's black.
Man. When he fucking did that, I was pissed.
He kept doing it, and I was just like...
I was
this
fucking
knife
emoji, man. Like,
I cannot believe that people...
James Earl Jones is really lovely.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
Mm-hmm.
Dude, James Earl Jones is so good in this.
He's so good.
Yeah. All three of these movies, wall-to-wall, excellent performances.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Yes. I mean, I can't speak for Bread and Roses, but I trust y'all.
Oh my God.
They were the two sisters... so good.
That one particular scene I mentioned where they are like
with
in the house
over the ironing board.
Ironing board. It was very, like, not to sound like every person writing a review ever, but, like, it was very raw.
Yeah.
And, like, it also felt very true to a family fight, where they kept talking over each other, and the older sister went on her monologue, and the younger sister was just, like, sobbing into her hands and just kept saying, like, I didn't know. Oh God, there's a point where Rosa does her whole thing and she says her whole speech, and Maya has her face in her hands and she's been sobbing this whole time, and she just says, what did we do to you? What did we do to you, Rosa? And Rosa says, what did you do to me? And Maya nods, and the scene just fucking ends.
Yeah, it's
a scene or sequence.
You should really, Helena, you should really watch the movie. It's
I will definitely revisit it.
Yeah,
The scene and sequence that I keep coming back to in Matewan that was, I thought, just tremendous was the this whole part of the movie. I don't want to go into too much detail because it would take too long to explain all the little strands that go into it. But basically, the petty bourgeois guy who is has convinced some of the union workers that Joe Kinahan has done something that he hasn't done. And they decide that, well, he has to die because it's this guy's way of just getting him out of the picture. Yeah. So they all draw sticks, and James Earl Jones draws the short stick, and he has to go and kill him. So it's like it jumps back and forth between them at church with this young preacher who like has overheard of the plot to frame him for this thing and is trying to tell a parable about it in the church to make them like realize what's happening, and this conversation that James Earl Jones is having with Joe at the campfire, and like how like knowing he has been told to kill him, and they're just swapping stories. It's so tense.
Well done.
He's got to do it, and like Joe tells this story about, while this thing is going on in the church, appropriately, he tells a story about these Mennonites that he knew of, who were in jail, that had to wear like their beards at a particular length, and they were being constantly told to, basically were being prevented at the prison from adhering to their religious practices, and so they like refused to work in the prison and were handcuffed, and they like couldn't move their hands, and they kept and he just tells this whole story and about how, because it's a conversation about pacifism and how Chris Cooper's character doesn't carry a gun and with a draft dodger, and how brave he thought these men were who were also pacifists, and you can see James Earl Jones just like, oh fuck, and he like they go out into the woods, and it's still going to happen, and it's not referenced to or called back on later in the movie. It's just this brilliant like little sequence
so well done.
In the movie where they realize who's really like to blame for all of it, and
they burn his fucking restaurant down, and it rips.
It's
such a great like solidifying moment for the union organizer, for Joe, the union organizer, of like, you now completely understand exactly what this dude's thing is. I think, and
he never knows that James Earl Jones was going to kill him.
He never has any idea that he was being framed at all.
Because the guy gets to him just in time, and I think it's a really good distillation of the many ways in which we see in all three of these movies, of how the company and how capitalists in general use all of these different ways to like break people up and turn each other against each other. And that's like their only weapon. It's besides actual weapons, it's their only weapon is to try and turn people against each other, and they have to resort to just flat out lying about it. So be it. But
Joe has this really great speech. There's a couple of points I want to talk about in Matewan. Joe has this really great speech at the beginning where they're having a union meeting, and the black workers, and there's also a bunch of Italian immigrants who have been brought in as scabs, though none of them really know it. And James Earl Jones shows up because he's like, I'm not going to be a fucking scab. Like, let me join your union. And of course, this whole room full of white guys are like, no. And Joe has this whole thing about like, there's only two sides to this fight, and it's the people who work and the people who don't. So like, basically get your shit together. Like,
so
he's
good.
Yeah, it's I'm sure you can find it on YouTube. You can find the whole movie on YouTube actually, which is
actually
how I
the
watched
whole
it,
movie is
like,
on
this
YouTube.
Is as God intended.
I will say that if you can get out of the library or something, the 2019 Criterion re-release is worth it,
it's so good.
My DVD didn't have subtitles, which was
I was using YouTube's auto caption, which was really an experience.
Because it's because everybody, I can't say how authentically because I am not from West Virginia and therefore am no judge of such accents, but everybody sounds like they're from, they have a
accents.
notable we are from the Appalachia thing going on. Which I can imagine would be fun for the fucking auto captioning.
It did pretty okay, but there were some points where I was
good.
like, it kept misspelling people's names, which was very funny.
Yeah. That scene is because it's so to the point right away.
Yeah.
There's only two kinds of people in this world, them that work and them that don't.
Yeah.
And
I really appreciate how he just refers to them as the enemy in this movie. There's absolutely no...
It's real good.
It's equivocating about this. They are the enemy.
Yeah.
And everything that they do in this movie, is things that people actually did, which is just obvious because it's happening now, but it's just so fucking beyond the pale. I get so angry watching these types of movies. I was hissing and spitting at my screen like a cat.
I know. I was flipping between being really pissed and crying.
Yeah.
It was just so emotional.
Even in the scene in Norma Rae, the amazing, totally sexy scene as well, where Ruben goes to the facility. He's like, I need to check and do an inspection to see if my notices about the union are on your bulletin boards. And he's just fucking just walking through this factory, putting them through the shit.
Place. Yeah.
They try to be and there's 5 of them and 1 of him, and he's trying to he goes to one bulletin board and it's way up high, 8-10 feet in the air. He's like, oh, can't read that. And the other one is
call
behind.
My lawyers. Can you give me a couple nickels and point me to your payphone?
Yeah, who's got change for the payphone? What did I say?
I was yelling at the screen, fuck you.
Yeah.
What was it? I think what I put in the group chat was being an annoying bastard stickler for the rules is part of my culture and I'm proud of it. Because it's just the most
Yep.
Yeah.
He's no, I have the minutia memorized and I'm gonna make you eat every single word of this court case.
Mm-hmm.
He's just he's so blasé about it. He's got a little shit-eating grin on his face the entire time.
Yeah.
Hot.
And then it is interesting because there is a lot to the sort of he has what he has to lose is so much less than everybody else, but there is a point during that particular scene where his whole thing is that he's very nothing gets to him through this whole movie is that part of his strength as an organizer is that he can take a lot of shit and maintain that kind of snarky I know more than you and we're gonna win vibe right up until one of the factory managers calls him a kike.
Oh yeah.
And they
almost get into fisticuffs.
You just see it happen behind his eyes of there was a limit to what I was willing to put up with today and you just crossed it. I just
they literally
also,
almost get into a fist fight.
You just don't see a lot of realistic depictions of modern anti-Semitism in movies because nobody wants to write overtly Jewish characters. And there's just a couple of times where when the two of them, when Ruben first meets Norma Rae, she's like, oh, I've never met a Jew before. I thought you all had horns. And she's sort of joking, and she also very clearly doesn't mean it in any kind of malicious way, but I was just, taking notes, and I was like, oh yeah, when my dad was born in 1955, he was like, yeah, no, when I was, a kid, people would ask me if I had horns sometimes. That was just a thing that people would occasionally there were just genuinely people who were like, oh yeah, Jews have horns, right? And it's what the fuck is wrong with you people? But yeah, no, I just that was just a very much a I was I could see this guy seeing red, and I was like, me too, buddy. Fuck him up.
Yeah.
It was that little shit with the mustache. He was pissing me off in that scene. I was like, this guy needs to. I was thinking,
this
very
guy needs
good
to go,
performances
Ruben.
from all of the people. Yeah. Yep.
Get his ass.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh boy.
Yeah.
I want to say too briefly on just jumping back and forth, but Matewan, I just like aesthetically, I want to just make a brief shout out to that because I did watch the Criterion restoration that I got from the library. It is beautiful to look at.
Dude, honestly, yeah, if they do another like they usually do the like holiday sale for the Criterions, I'm fucking getting a copy of Matewan if it's in stock because I love this movie.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. It's gorgeous. Like lots of like really beautiful like muted yellows and like greens and then just like towards the end too, there's even some scenes like at the end, and also there's that one scene when they're in the general store with the mayor and David Strathairn and Awooga Awooga. Sorry, but he's so hot in that movie.
He's like the only time a cop has been sexy in the history of time. Is David Strathairn in
no good
Matewan.
cops, but like,
yeah,
he was
looking good. Unfortunately,
literally cartoon wolf
the scene at the beginning. Yeah, God, no, the scene at the beginning when they're trying to evict a family from company housing.
Yeah,
and he just is like no, like that's whatever thing from the
he's basically like
mine company
nuts.
You have.
Yeah,
he's just very very calmly just standing there like fucking if you don't stop this I'm gonna identify as a fucking problem.
Yeah, it's great because he's like mean. Like they're like if we had all our boys here you wouldn't be fucking telling us this shit, and he's like, because he's like, you have 10 minutes to get this stuff back to the house, and they're like, oh blah blah, and he's like, yeah, if all your boys are here I've been telling you 5 minutes, get going bud. Or he's like, this won't work as an eviction notice, you'll need to go to wherever, and they're like, we don't have time for that, and he's like, okay, make time. Literally, he's like, oh, well, you should probably figure out how to make some time then, because you're not going to make it a fucking eviction today, are you?
Love him.
It's great. He was great.
There is a scene in the general store specifically where
everyone's real
there's
good.
like some beautiful like sepia light, like just muted colors. It's just a really beautifully filmed, like understated, but really beautifully filmed movie. Great, like really great editing. Especially in the scene that I was talking about, editing. With like that had to cut between the church and the fireside conversation. It was just like, oh my god,
perfectly paced. The and just there's this one moment where Joe Kinahan and the son of the woman who runs the boarding house, who's kind of he ends up sort of vaguely taking under his wing, are throwing a baseball back and forth. And there's these really crisp, rhythmic cuts that follows the baseball back and forth as they're like volleying back and forth, like kind of having a discussion about violence. And it's just really satisfying. Like it cuts when it's like baseball hitting glove in this like really like the sound design is really crisp. It's good shit.
Yeah,
it's good shit. This movie's really well made.
It says something that I kept forgetting. This is a movie from the 80s because of the way it's filmed. It felt older.
Yes. Yeah.
I like you were like, yeah, it's like 87. And I'm like, that's so fucked up that it's from 87.
I know, right?
And like, admittedly, I was watching it on YouTube where it looked like shit, but also I was like, God, it doesn't feel like a movie from the 80s. It feels like a 50s film. Which is incredible.
I think that was at least like part of that was deliberate, I'm sure.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Can I be fucking that film guy for a second?
Just really quick. There was this one point I wanted to touch on earlier that I just keep thinking about where still Matewan, when he's talking about like being a communist and dodging the draft or whatever, and he's like, yeah, I didn't want to go to war because it's all the same. It's just like I have to go kill some other worker who was only in this because of bosses and politicians and shit.
All I saw was workers killing workers.
And there was just this like, this crystal clear moment of like, yeah, man, it's all fucking tied together. It's all the same. It's all the fucking same shit. War, what is it good for?
Yeah,
absolutely nothing. And it's tied into the Union stuff, too. It's all the... Oh, my God. When he said that, I just had this, like, moment of clarity, and I was like, fuck!
Yeah.
Shit!
Yeah.
And I just had to say something about it.
Of course.
It was so good. And both in terms of, like, that is who this guy is he's thinking about it on such a large scale, like, it impacts his whole life. And, like... It partially ends up getting him killed, but like but also for me it was a mode of like, oh, I like am have like there's this additional point of understanding of like, yeah, like I already knew that, like I was already anti-war, but it was just such a like succinct way to put it.
It's fun because right at the beginning of the movie, the Wobblies, the IWW, which is the International Workers of the World. If you work in a job that is not unionized, you can join the International Workers of the World. If you are unemployed, you can join the International Workers of the World. It has been around for like over 100 years, and it is really the philosophy of like of one big union. You know, no national boundaries, no racial, gender, religion, disability, any of that. It's just the idea that, like, you organize everybody. And if you organize absolutely everybody, there's no way to pit people against each other. You know, who's going to fight your wars? If workers refuse to fight other workers, who's going to fight your wars?
Right.
And it's just a really, like... You know, this movie doesn't, like, Matewan, none of these movies go, like, super polemic-y on, like, the hardcore leftism stuff, but they all are unapologetic about saying, like, no, like, the basic principle, you know, that they're about the issues of execution in organizing, and, you know, whether we're paying close enough attention to who's paying the costs of it, but none of these movies are ever going to apologize for the basic principles there.
Yeah, agreed.
Which is...
I will say, I mean, it is still pretty impressive that Matewan is made in 87.
I know, right?
Right at the tail end of the Cold War, and they have a character who is, like, literally a communist that is portrayed in a very positive, like...
Yeah.
Like, he is the protagonist of this movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, he is a very sympathetic character, and it really says a lot that he's literally like, "Are you a Red?" And he's like, "Yeah,
I guess I am.
I guess I am."
Man, 87 was an incredible year for movies.
What else? What are some other greatest hits from 1987, Helena?
Okay, I have to pull it up.
Cool.
1987 was the year of Moonstruck. It was the year of The Princess Bride. It was the year of Maurice. It was the year of The Lost Boys. It was the year of RoboCop.
Wow.
Wings of Desire, With Nail and I.
Damn.
With
just
Nail
among some of my personal favorites.
Why do I suddenly desperately want to do a double feature of With Nail and I and Matewan?
That would be fun.
Those are going to be your two. If you can somehow get a hold of the, I think, out of print Criterion edition of With Nail and High, those are going to be your two. With Nail and High, With Nail and I. Your two.
No,
Criterion
it is With Nail and High because they're fucking blazed the entire time in that movie. With Nail and I, the movie, which includes...
to get high and watch With Nail
Dude,
and I.
I mean, we can. I'm just saying, the film, which includes a running joke about a joint called the Carrot, because it's the size of a carrot.
Oh, dream.
Yeah.
Also,
that's a movie that was not set in Thatcher's England, but feels like it is, isn't it?
Yes, that is
like
correct.
It's not explicitly
it is set
there,
in the 60s. But it is also just absolutely unavoidably. Right. I mean, it is a movie about Thatcher's England. It's just set in the 60s, because they want to use the music, I personally think.
I mean, we'll allow it.
Yeah, no,
Z, you had a thought you wanted to say.
Literally
earlier.
My whole thought was just Jesus H. pooping Christ, I miss film stock.
Yeah.
Literally, I've been watching all of these movies are shot on film stock. The early seasons of Supernatural are shot on film stock.
Yeah.
All
the Friday the 13th movies are...
Call me a fucking hipster or whatever you want. I get that some things look good on digital, like Pacific Rim looks great. Just make fucking movies on film. Especially, like, anything that's going for realism. It just... Can you imagine watching Norma Rae, but you're uncomfortably aware of everyone's pores? No!
I just want
Sally Field doesn't have any pores.
Okay, everybody in these movies looks like a normal human being. Like, even the, like, people who are, like, hot. I mean, Sally Field is incredibly gorgeous, but also she, like, looks like a real person in Norma Rae. You know, Chris Cooper has big young Harrison Ford energy in Matewan, but also
Don't say that. Oh my God.
Looks like a hot dude you would meet on the subway. He does not look like he was grown in a lab.
Yeah.
And like, you know, the
all three of the union organizers in these movies were like just uncomfortably attractive. I mean, it was like miserable for me.
It was
just to be there,
back in the good old days, as we were saying, when men were like the typical, like, for me. This is gonna just completely like out myself embarrassingly by saying this. Like in the 70s, like right around the time that Norma Rae came out, a good decade before Matewan, like the hottest type of guy in Hollywood, I feel like, was Elliot Gould. Not actually to most of Hollywood, but like actually looking back on it, like the hottest type of guy back then was like a guy with Elliot Gould energy. Or Elliot Gould specifically.
Inventing a new type of hot guy.
Inventing a new type of hot guy, but it's just Elliot Gould. Like seriously just allowing guys to be like hairy.
Mm-hmm. just look like fucking normal dudes.
Just look like dudes that are still hot. Like the guy Ron Liebman is like sweating this entire movie because it's like so hot in North Carolina where they are. I mean, he's just like sweating through all of his t-shirts.
Yeah, or he just has his fucking denim short sleeve denim button down,
denim.
like all
unbuttoned. The double denim outfit.
Navel.
I was just like, I was so miserable. I was beside myself.
I was like, been there, worn that.
I have worn that, and I was self-conscious about it, but he makes it look so fucking good. Jesus Christ.
It's like the cast of The Hot Rock. It's like this guy, Robert Redford, like George Segal, and like maybe the cast of The Long Goodbye as well, like Elliot Gould. I'm just like, I think those were, unfortunately, looking back on it, the hottest men of the 1970s. And
so
if you weren't there, which I wasn't, you weren't there.
We weren't there. We missed out.
No.
Missed our shot. The women were also, which I appreciated, the women were like stunning. In case you forget that we're gay for everybody.
Yeah, it's true.
We're equal opportunity homosexuals. Sorry, I just got myself on that one.
That's true.
You know what? Nope, you fucking said it and I fucking stand by it.
I'll print those shirts. The women are all just stunners. But they all also, once again, just like they're not like made up to hell and back. They just like look like regular working women, which they are.
Yeah.
Was such a relief to see, especially now, because like that just doesn't happen anymore. No. And often didn't happen then, you know. But like, it was just so nice to be like, yeah, I will absolutely buy that these women were working in factories or working as janitors or like ran a boarding house and were a single mom.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That is correct.
Lot of single moms in these movies.
Yeah.
Which is...
And like single moms that were not given shit for being single moms. It was just like, yep, that's just how it is. That is their circumstances. For various reasons, you know, a lot of them were like husbands who had passed away or whatever. But if you want, Helena, if you gotta go ahead.
I do. I tragically, I want to say goodbye to everybody. I do have to go because it is almost midnight where I am, and I have to get up very early.
We did
but
the
this
thing
has been
again.
very. This has been very great. Keep talking. Go ILWU. Go Teamsters. Bye, everyone.
Hell yeah.
Amazing.
Bye.
Oh yes, no. Pilar Padilla is the star of Bread and Roses. Just like, she's so good.
Mm-hmm.
She's so good.
She's great.
Her performance in that movie is so fucking good. I looked her up. She mostly does. She mostly looks like works in the Mexican film and TV industry.
Mm-hmm.
She is
like, yeah, she is really the protagonist of that movie in a way that, like, Norma Rae, obviously she's the protagonist of her movie, but like, I feel like it was so centered on Maya too. Yeah. Like, they were both like very female led movies. And both of those actors did such a good job of carrying that.
Yeah.
Yes, it was incredible.
Yeah, it is funny to see. You've got Chris Cooper as a union organizer is so, like, just keeps his cool, and like, and Norma Rae, like,
it was also interesting to see.
Lose his
I can imagine
cool
where
at a
you're
couple
going with
of
this.
points.
The different,
and then just. God, fucking Adrian Brody is such a feckless idiot. Like, he's definitely got...
Oh my God.
He's got the drive. He's got his... He's got his, like, his heart's in the right place, but also he just is, like, just kind of a loose cannon in a way that I think is...
He's hot-blooded.
Yeah, he's hot-blooded, and I think it's interesting because it makes me feel like... and then he's like back like in like the local union headquarters, and it's so clear that everybody thinks that he's this, frankly, like, kind of a liability, and he's gonna cause legal problems for them, and it's interesting because you can immediately tell that the resources of that union are not going into organizing. They're not going into, training organizers and keeping veteran organizers around and, like, picking the right person for the job. They're throwing a guy who makes... I did the inflation calculator. Like, he tells somebody, and if somebody asks his salary, and he tells them, and it's like $22,000 a year, which inflation calculator is like Maya. $36,000 now. Which is, like, decent, but it's not some massive amount of money, and I guarantee you the people who are his bosses are making way more than that. It's going to, political campaign donations, and...
He says that, doesn't he? He says, like, what are you going to do with the $4 billion that goes to the Democrats?
Yep, so they can just piss it away just like they always do, and I was like, ooh, boy, do I feel that! There's been I think it's an interesting illustration of, in the last 20 or so years, because Jesus, it's depressing to watch Norma Rae and think all of those jobs are going to be gone in 20 years or 25 years or something.
I was like flipping through the oh my God, what the fuck is the app we use to track movies? Letterboxd. I was flipping through the Letterboxd reviews for Norma Rae, and somebody was like, I would love to see a sequel to this movie where we find out the textile mill has been shut down by Reaganism. Yeah. It's like, damn, cold but true.
No, cold but true. I mean, and the thing is that it's so just from that one scene, if you sort of know what you're looking at, you know that the priorities of those unions as political organizations have changed. And like, I'm gonna, I've got my union card right here. I am a proud member of the Bakery, Confectionery, Tobacco Workers, and Grain Millers International Union. Local 9. I don't know who my union rep is. I have tried 2 different numbers for my union office, which is in Seattle. I live in Bellingham. That's almost 100 miles away. I have emailed them and called them. I've had this job for almost 4 years. I have never been able to get in contact with my union organizer, my union rep. The only thing that union, because it is a fucking dinosaur. The era of trade-specific unions has been over for so many years because there's no fucking bargaining power. Because companies have managed to move so many jobs out of those sort of semi-professional things that were used to be covered by these unions. And so the union that I'm currently in has an overwhelmingly a population that's approaching retirement age and doesn't care about wage increases or like quality of work increases. The only thing they care that is important to them is their pension. And of course, the contract that I'm on has functionally no pension benefits. You don't get those anymore. I know somebody, like one person I know who's grandfathered in on the old contract might get a decent pension, but pension get fucked. And so the journeyman wage, which is the top out wage in the part of the country that I'm in for this union, is less than $15. Somebody who has been there for 20 years, unless there is some sort of special circumstance, you stop getting mandatory raises at under $15. Most places are hiring starting at $15, but they're non-union. Costco, Trader Joe's. Plenty of these non-union grocery stores are starting at a higher wage than what I make as somebody who has almost 4 years of experience in a skilled position, which it is hard to hire people for. No wonder people have given up on unions.
Yeah, it's very frustrating.
Because, you if you're lucky, you end up in one that you sort of feel like works for you. If you're not, you're in one where you're like, Jesus fucking Christ, what am I paying you for? Because I pay union dues. Oh, and also, my health insurance is so fucking bad, dog. So...
Yeah.
It's... I watch movies like this, and I just think about how the local... Because most positions in a grocery store are represented by the UFCW, the United Food Workers Council, or whatever it is.
Yes, I believe that was the union that I used to
Yeah, we used to be in that union. And, they come by periodically to the store that I work at. And, they were doing something and I said, damn, I wish I was part of that union. And they said, oh, are you with the bakers? And I said, yep. And they were like, yeah, every time we talk to people and they say that. And I said, yeah, I've never met my union rep. And they're like, yeah, people have been saying that for years. What you should really do is you should really organize people up here. And I'm thinking, great. Seriously? Your solution is tell somebody who works a full-time job not for their union that they should also try to... And it's I don't know, maybe if I wanted to make that my whole life for a while, I could try to get in contact with the other grocery stores in the area and try to get people to, I don't know, meet up or something and demand that our union rep make a trip up here. I can't get them to answer my fucking emails.
The idea of having to unionize to get your union rep to pay attention to you is so fucked up.
I'm in a union. What? Yeah.
It's just... I think about kind of the state of the union.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. I've done that.
And we have before. Yeah. We have friends who are in the booksellers union, which is also the longshoremen's union. I have friends who used to be in whatever union library workers are in. We have friends who are in the Teamsters, obviously. Yeah. I have family that used to be proud members of the Steelworkers Union.
Yeah, teachers unions. I've had family in the teachers unions.
I think my parents used to be part of the teachers union.
Probably. My uncle, both my mom's older brothers. My oldest uncle was a member of the teachers union for his whole working life, and My other uncle was with the concrete workers for 30-something years. I've known people who were in the electrical workers.
SAG,
anyway.
SAG-AFTRA, the Screen Actors Guild and
Yep,
American Federation
SAG-AFTRA,
of
yeah.
Television and Radio Artists. I've known a lot of people in
There we
SAG. Yeah, so a lot of union people in our lives is the long and short of it. And it's very frustrating that they're hearing different stories of unions, because I do believe in the core concept of a union.
Yeah, me too.
Above many other things in my life. I believe in a union. I believe in workers and people uniting together to protect ourselves, because that is what we deserve as people living on this fucking planet. And it is frustrating sometimes, because when we worked at grocery, I remember it was, you didn't have to join the union, right? You don't have to join the union. You and I both did.
Yeah, no, you do have to, technically. That is one of the things about it.
They didn't make us, though.
No, they didn't.
They really didn't.
They were gonna let that one slide for a long time.
They were gonna let that one go.
Yeah.
I believe they also, I remember getting talked to at least about, like, just so you know, like, the dues come out of your paycheck. In Bread and Roses, the boss has a moment where he's like, they take 20% of your paycheck. And I just had this flashback of basically getting a similar speech. I'm like, oh, just so you know, the union's gonna take your... And I was like, yeah, man, that's what they should do. They're a union.
Yeah.
And then being frustrated with the way the union was run. And I was like, this does not change the fact that I believe in unions. I think some unions need a good kick in the ass.
Yes, without a doubt.
I think some unions need to figure their shit out.
Yeah.
And I think some unions, for the most part, kind of still have it together. It's just that so many of the wheels in so many different unions have become gummied up with politics that, like, it's so hard for them to get anything done, because they just have meetings upon meetings upon meetings that are just, like, nothing.
Yeah.
That's just, like, nothing.
Yeah.
And it's so annoying to look at it, because you're like, I know, and, like, watching these union movies too, you're like, dude, I know where it started, and I know it could get there, and I think that's where it needs to be. It's just, like, it's just the system just needs course correcting, and it's like, well, how do we even get there? And I don't know. And I guess the answer is get involved and start knocking some heads around, but I'm not even... I used to, I think I may have talked with on the show, but I used to work for Amazon. Notable union lover, Amazon.
Yeah.
And I didn't even work in the factories. I worked in retail stores. And I had made kind of some noise a couple times, kind of halfway inching towards, like, yeah, but what if we unionize, though? And most of the people I talked to were like, dude, you know, if we do that, we're going to lose our jobs, right? Like, we're going to get fucked if we try and do that. And I was like, I know. And that's why I never tried to seriously do anything about it, because I knew that if I tried to do anything about that, I would get screwed. And that was going to be the end of it. Like, that stuff is still happening. And even my current job, which I like, it's great benefits, great pay. I like, it's still a corporation. I still roll my eyes, you know, I don't believe in, like, company culture or whatever the fuck, but, like, I believe that my job will take care of me. And I also know that, like, the second I start talking about union stuff, I'm gonna get the, like, but why would you need one? That the company's gonna take care of you.
Yep.
And the answer is because someday they may not.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I work in an industry that is booming right now. We cannot hire fast enough in a time when no one can hire. And I know that someday that company is gonna stop caring about me. And I want protection, and it's gonna be hard to fucking get it. And that's scary.
Yeah, it really is. I think the one other thing that I if you don't mind me kind of taking us out.
No, absolutely not. Go for it.
I just want to say that it's speaking of, you know, watching Norma Rae and thinking about, you know, where are those union jobs going to be 20 years from when that movie was made. I got interested in, you know, like the history of labor organizing and stuff when I was in high school, because one of my teachers, I had a really my AP US history teacher was fucking I mean, not like a fascist, but he was kind of a fascist. And one of my favorite teachers suggested that I read Howard Zinn's People's History of the United States as basically like an antidote to that. She was like, yeah, teach yourself some American history that actually like matters. And that has
my junior year history teacher made us read that as part of our required reading.
Nice, yeah, and like that has a lot of interesting. I mean, everybody should read that.
Love that, dude.
It's really great. But when I was at Oberlin, one of the funky things that Oberlin does is it has something called the Experimental College, which was, came out of the counterculture student movements of the 60s and has stuck around. And the thing is that anybody who wants to can teach a class at the Experimental College. Students, faculty, non-faculty, staff, people from the community, anybody who wants to can write up a syllabus and teach a class, and you get 1 course credit for it. And I signed up to take a class on the history of labor unions in the United States, and it was run by, I wish I could remember the guy's name. This was several major depressive episodes ago. But he had been a union organizer with both the steel workers and the Teamsters. And the thing about Oberlin is that it's in northern Ohio. It is in like prime Rust Belt territory. And he sort of he mostly just told us stories. Because it was like me and like 2 other people or something. And so we would just like sit on some couches and he would tell us stories about his history as a union organizer in the 70s and 80s and stuff. Because he was fairly old. But he actually, that was where I first saw Matewan. Was one night he was just like, we're watching this movie and I'm going to tell you about the story of the West Virginia coal mine wars. And another time he just like took us on a field trip to Lorain, Ohio, which is the county seat. Basically to just say, like, look, this is what happened when, the manufacturing plants that anchored these communities went away. And it's fucking dismal. I knew it, but I didn't really, like, understand it, right? And I remember him talking about how, it was hard for people to... It was even harder now to get people to believe in the value of unions because, a lot of the strongest unions in the U.S. were the manufacturing unions, the automotive workers, the steel workers, and people had these good union jobs that, let them have families and a modest level of prosperity and housing and a good life. But the union didn't protect them from the jobs going away. That it couldn't fight, fucking, oh my god, I forgot the word for, exporting jobs. There's a buzzword.
I am also blanking on
anyway
what that phrase
is.
But y'all know what we mean.
It couldn't stop them from...
Outsourcing.
Thank you. No, it is outsourcing. It couldn't protect them from the jump in power that globalization gave capitalism. And it's a lot harder to get people to understand that it's not just the people who work in the same factory or in the same industry as you. You gotta be in solidarity with the people who are doing the same job, on the other side of the world. That's a lot to ask people to imagine in a productive way. Yeah.
Especially when capitalism is telling you, like, oh, they're taking your jobs. They're taking your jobs.
Yep.
When, in actuality, they're pitting them as scabs, but when actually what is happening is, like, these people don't have any other choice. It's not like... It's not like they're a scab in the sense of, like, fuck you guys, I'm going to do this job, I don't give a shit about the union. It's like, we should be... It is exactly like in Matewan, where it's like, these guys are also deserve... They are not the enemy, they're also workers. They deserve to be unionized with us.
Yeah.
And that applies outside of this town. That applies to everybody.
And
like,
when
fuck, man.
Yeah, and in Matewan, you're like, these people are so different, you know, they speak a different language, they have a different, you know, different cultural things, you keep calling them slurs. But the thing that helps is proximity. You know, it's pretty hard to continue to think somebody is irrevocably alien when they're 2 tents down from you in the, like, meadow tent encampment that you've all set up because you've gotten booted from your company-owned housing, and, like, you know, you end up with somebody who's trying to teach you to make polenta. Like, it's you know, it's just this, like, xenophobia can't survive shared hardship. And it's a lot harder to achieve that kind of sense of proximity as an antidote to xenophobia over that kind of distance. You know, how do you make somebody understand that garment workers in Bangladesh are, you know, are not your enemy? You know, the company moved the manufacturing from North Carolina to you know, Southeast Asia, but, like, people are exactly the same. But how do you show people that? It's just a lot. There's just this other barrier now that I think we're all still figuring out how to surmount. But I think we can do it.
Yeah.
You can't, you know,
Me too.
As the song goes, you can't scare me, I'm sticking to the Union.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think that
I think that's a good thought
I think that about does it. So thanks for hanging out with us here on Sneople at the Movies from the Infinity Break Network. Check out infinitybreak.net for more awesome content, and come hit us up on Twitter at people_snake. Our theme music was done by Johnny Ronaldo, who you can find at Johnny Ronaldo on Twitter. Our logo was designed by Bethany Luthold. Check her out at bethanyluthold.wixsite.com. If you've got a subject you want to hear us talk about, a movie you think we absolutely need to see, or a recommendation for your favorite Union movie, come say hello. Also, if you can, please leave a review on iTunes and share the show with any friends who you would think would enjoy it. As always, thanks for listening, and we'll see you at the movies.